Okay, so today we're looking at making a mold. You know, when you get like packaging and it's kind of shrunk wrapped around a component, we can have a look at creating the mold for that. So we're going to start a new part design. Okay, initially we're going to start in synchronous. Simulation training, so let's get rid of that. And we're going to start with a box. So for this I'm going to F3 on that plane. I'm going to start on the center. Let's go 150 by 250. 0. Tap the shift key because we want to build this upwards. And let's go 10mm on that plate on there. Okay, next I'm going to do another box. So I'm going to do a Control T to get a top view. So I'm doing my packaging as I've got like my little cutout at the top. So I'm going to go and drag that down there. Let's go about there. And then again, let's go drag up. I'm going to go 16mm this time. Okay, I'm now going to go and make some changes to my dimensions. So let's go 120mm. And we'll go 175. Nice little thing I like to do is go up to my PMI, expand all those, do a shift select, top one, shift, bottom one, right click, and then set that to driving dimensions. That goes and locks all those dimensions. So it means that we're not going to get spurious changes on those dimensions on there. You can also go and turn those off. If you're not a synchronous user, click on a face. Any dimensions that are valid for that face will then go and pop up. So we don't need to have loads of dimensions on there. So next I'm going to do a drawing, so no idea what this product is, but we're going to do a circle on there, and we're going to do another circle. I'm going to go and bring that down to there. Okay, and now I'm going to do a equal command between those two. So I'm using the new 2022 equal command on there. I'm going to use a smart distance on there. I'm going to choose the centers of those two. So you press the C key, just hover over the arc and press the C key, and that will allow us to do those centers. Let's do my smart dimension. We'll keep that pretty similar to what it is. Let's do a smart trim, and we'll just go and get rid of those. And we've got our profile looking pretty good on there. Okay, so we can unlock. We don't ever need to really, but sometimes when you're trying to do it and you can't, just be aware of the lock symbol up in the corner. So I'm going to click on that region, choose the direction they want to go, and I'm going to go and drag that up 25mm on here. Okay, because of the way this is made, we actually need to have some draft faces on here. So I'm going to keep this in synchronous. So I'm going to go to draft. Plane I want to draft from is here. The faces that I want to draft from are these ones. We could do all normal faces, but then we'd have to go and deselect the 4 at the bottom. So I'm just going to do that just the manual way on there. Check out the direction we've got on there, and then right click to accept once we've done that. Okay, I've done enough features that I'm now going to go and save this. So I'm just going to save this in my demo mold part. I call this base because we could possibly create the top part as well on there, doing some clever creating place. Okay, so let's have a look what we've got on here now. So let's do some rounds on here. So when we do rounds in synchronous, I tend to do them all nice and separately. So when we're doing rounds, notice this little box on here, we've got these options. So if I press C for chain, F for face, E for edge, so we can use just those cheap keyboard shortcuts that can make stuff a lot better on there. So I'm going to do the face on there. So I'm going to go 3mm on there. And then I'm going to go and change. I'm going to do a loop. So a loop is the inside or outside edge of a face. Just be aware that's obviously picking up that face on there. So by spinning that rotation or using quick pick, it's allowing me to go and select that plane. And then that loop. So that is the inner loop that we've got on there. And then go and add the edges on here that we want to go and finish this profile off. And then right click to finish. So we've got our round down there. We can then go and do the rest of these on here. We can also do stuff such as like so we can do face as well. So if I go and choose face on there and go and select these faces, so 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll do a 1mm round on those. Just do a 2mm. So we can go and update that. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. So our mold, obviously this part is just our base. So this is our product. Okay, so next let's think about some of the things we're going to do. So when this goes in, once this gets sucked down onto here, we need a way of the air coming out. Otherwise, we're not going to get all these done perfectly as we want. So we're going to have to put some holes in, but we're going to do that a little bit later on. Okay, so next, let's have a look at how we're gonna do what we want. Actually, I don't want this round on here. So this is synchronous, so no difficulty for me to go and just fence select and just go and remove that round on there. So next thing, when we have this, we can either have it kind of heated together, or we can have it so it has some kind of clips. So for this, I'm going to do like a clip system. But what I want to do, I want to kind of split this into two parts first. So I'm going to split this body, and I haven't actually created a plane yet. So let's just go and create a plane on there. That's the plane that I want. And let's go and split that body using that plane we've just drawn and accept. So now we've got two design bodies in there. If that's not showing, just expand that design body on there. So we've got design body 1, design body 2. Make sure design body 1 is blue. The yellow icon, we can ignore that, but just double click on that if that isn't the active design body. What I want to do, I want to kind of create a body that's going to go and create the cutout. Sometimes it's easier if you've got quite a complex cutout to go and create an additional body. So I'm just going to call this notch, because this is going to be our notch. And then I'm going to go and create a feature. So one thing that I did actually forget to do was actually go to ordered at this point. So I'm going to go to ordered, double check that add body is still active on there. Okay, so now I'm going to create an extrude. I'm going to do this using a parallel plane from this plane on the inside. Sometimes it's easier to go and turn the base reference planes on to go and grab the appropriate plane on there. So I'm going to go and drag that along. Let's go down there, 75mm. And then draw the appropriate profile that we want on here. So this is going to be actually done this slightly differently to what I was intending, but that's fine. So I want to do a box. I want to do a line coming from this corner. So it helps if I click the line command. Coming up from there, then I'm going to press the A key and do an arc, and I'm going to come to that intersection point. So if you hover over the edge and hover over that line and go to there, you'll see you've got a little cross symbol by there, showing that I've then got the intersection point. I'm then going to go and trim. So we've got that trimmed there. Go and do that radius. So I'm just going to set that to 10. Let's go and set the height on there. I'm going to go 12 on that. Okay, I need to go and change my settings, but I need to do that outside of Sketch. So I need to do that one. I'm going to do an angle on that. So I'm going to go move that to there and go set that as 10 degrees. So we've got most of our sizes on here. When we're looking at fully defining sketches, I kind of like just clicking on the profiles and kind of dragging that and seeing what's what on there. So we can clearly see that that line obviously is giving us that issue on there. So if I go and do 5 on there, that's good. And that one is going to sort that one out. And then it looks as though we haven't actually got a connected corner on here. So I'm just going to use my trim corner to go and trim that corner up and go and set that back to 8.5 on there. Okay. So close that sketch. I'm going to go back down to my previous view. I've then got my profile 2021. We've got 2 options, but obviously on 2022 and onwards we've got the 3. But for this one, each use the right hand one with the 2 or the 3. Symmetric extent, and then go and create that. We'll go 20mm wide on there, and then finish. Okay. Next, I'm going to do a cutout on this face. So I want this to kind of look like be like a archway kind of profile instead. So I want to go up there, press A to become an arc key. Once we get to there, make sure we've got both the point on, which is the point on, pointing it with the arrow, and the tangent relationship. Go on down there, and then press the A key again. that'll create our point on. Then come down, notice I'm linking that up to the other one. I've got my red dotted line going across there saying that that's lined up. And then I go back down to that bottom corner. A couple of additional relationships. If these haven't added automatically, make sure we've got our tangency between those two. I want to do an equal relationship between those two. I want to do a horizontal vertical between the midpoint of there and the center point on this bottom one. If I actually manage to select those. Sometimes just spinning the view round can help because we might have multiple edges on top of each other there. And then if we go and define this, so I'm going to go 3mm on there. And again, I'm going to do a smart dimension, click on there, press the A key, just tap the A key, and that will allow us to go and set that angle to wherever we want that to be. So I'm going to leave that as 10 actually. Okay, close that sketch. This is a cut open profile, so I want to make sure we cut on the outside. I've got that set to through all anyway, so that's going to go and cut all the way through on there. We've got these settings for selection step, that's doing the active body, which is that notch body, which you can see is blue. Otherwise we could have done selected body as well. There's two options that we've got on there. So if we close out of there, that's looking okay. So just going to save that, do a quick Control S on there. And I'm going to go back and double click on design body 1, so that becomes our active body again. And what we're going to do, we're going to do a subtract. So I want to go to subtract, choose the body that we want to subtract, green tick or right mouse button, select the body that we want to be our tool, right click, finish, and then we can go and hide our notch because we don't need to see that anymore. Okay, again I'm just going to save that again. Now I'm going to go into my round command. I'm going to have a look at this and see kind of, we've got a couple of different ways we can round. So for this I'm going to do edge corner. I'm going to go and select those three faces first. Obviously the one on the top is shared with both of those profiles, so we need to figure out the best way for us to do that. So doing that works quite nicely. We're going to completely finish out of that one. We can do this as two separate features, even though in ordered we can do multiple sizes at the same time. And then we're going to go and choose these profiles. You should find once we get all the edges selected, it should work. Until then, we're not going to get all those working. So just double check that those are on there. Quite a nice thing to do is if you do Control, Shift, and D on the keyboard, so Control, Shift, and just tap D, that can go and turn the dynamic edit off. It actually does something special in Camtasia, so I'm going to have to press Escape. Okay, so you can accept that, preview, and finish. So we've got our profile where that's going to go and kind of suck into on there. So next I'm going to save that. And then we need to think about mirroring these over. So that cut out, the subtract, the round, or not the cutout per se, but so if we go and do the subtract round 3 and round 4, and then choose our mirror command. For this we want to choose plane normal to curve, so this allows me to produce a plane at the midpoint of that edge. So if I put 0.5 in the position, that's going to produce that to there, and then finish. And then Control and select the mirror, and then do that again, and we're going to go and do that over to the other side. So I'm going to go plane normal to curve. This time I'm going to go and pick this edge, 0.5, and finish. And now we've got all of those items mirrored from one side to the other. Okay, so I'm going to go and tidy this up now. I'm going to go and turn my PMI off, turn on my base reference plane, see if there's any of these features on here that we've got little tick boxes next to them. It could be quite useful. And I'm going to turn these back into one part now. So that subtract was quite important, otherwise you'll find that the mirror won't like it because of that face I've highlighted there. So by working with smaller segments of the part, it makes life a little bit easier. So I'm going to union that part to that part, and then right click to green tick, and that's now turned that back into a single body. The notch is still there, but the notch is irrelevant. We can go and turn that into construction if we want to kind of get rid of that. So if we go and, so that's not going to show up on a draft then, because we've turned that into construction. Okay, so next we're going to think about these air holes. So we've got a couple of different ways that we can kind of that we can do this. So I'm going to do my my first hole is going to be on this. No, it's not my first hole. I'm actually going to draw this on the bottom face. So if we go on the bottom face on here, what I find is really useful. This is actually really hard to work with, but if we go up here and we've got our options, we can do our wireframe. So we can see our wireframe. We know that that's our top round, that's our draft face, and that's our bottom round. So we can easily figure out where these are going to go. So if I go into the hole, just choose a simple drill size. Let's go 2mm on there. So if we do a 2mm drill size on there, click OK. We can then go and place our holes on these. So we can go and snap and dimension these up. This kind of works okay if you're doing just a few. On the other one, we'll do it in a more clever kind of way on here. So I'm just going to go and create these. So I'd normally snap and constrain them all very nicely, but to save time, I'm just going to go and position these pretty much roughly. Quite often, it's quite nice if you go and just do like a construction line. So if I do a construction line between those two, and then go back to my whole circle and go and place that on the center, that construction line we've drawn will automatically get turned into a construction line once I go and create that. So if I go and place that on there, it's pretty good. Let's just constrain this one up to show you kind of how we probably would constrain it up. A couple of tangent constraints to get that in a nice kind of position. So if we then close that sketch, once that comes out, it's nice to go back to our normal view. Notice it moves slightly between the sketch and the modeling on there. And then if we go through on there, we can do our extent step, and we can decide which way those are going to go. So if I just go, I'm just going to go through next. That's going to go and bring those holes up, and we get those holes roughly in position on there. Okay, this will also have channels on the back, so we could kind of pump the air in on one end, and it would go through all the holes. So all the holes could come out. Like if this being pressed against it, the holes would be making a seal against the bottom almost, so the air will struggle to come out. So normally you'd have channels in there, so all the air would come out a little hole at either the top or the bottom or on the sides as well. Okay, so next I want to put these holes in here. We want to make sure that we get these. What we want to do, we want to put like a slot for the holes to sit in as well. So for this one, I'm going to do a cutout on this face. Several different ways we can do it. I've tried using the lip command, tried doing some other more clever options, but what I'm going to do, I'm just going to use project to sketch. I'm going to use the loop command, one of my favourite commands. Choose the face and then go to that edge. So that is the edge set that we've got on there. So that's going to be the inside edge. And then I'm going to go and do that again, but I'm going to go to the options, choose project with offset, choose that same face, that same loop, and then once we right click, we're about to see we can either go inside or outside. Somewhere there's going to be an arrow, so depending on where I move the mouse, we're going to end up with this arrow moving. So I actually want to do 2.5, so I want to make sure that the arrow is pointing in the right kind of direction. I'm just having a look around trying to see where the arrow is on here. So it's here, that's where it is, so that's going that way, which is right. So I'm just going to left click to confirm that one. And that's got our cut fully defined, black as long as we've got our relationship colours on, that's great. So if we close our sketch on that. And this time it's obviously going all through next, so we want to make sure we're on single-sided extent, or both those options are off if you're on an older than 2022 version. So click both off, or 2023, 2022 even, this version. And then for here, we're going to do extent. So I'm just going to go down, 1mm on there. And then left click to confirm. And then right click to finish. And that sketch should disappear for us now. Okay, so next we want to go and put our hole in. So this time we're going to do a hole and we're going to do a pattern, and we're going to be really clever and use a long curve. We're using one of those model edges. So I'm doing my hole. I'm going to go and choose the hole. It doesn't really matter, but for kind of to make it work properly, I'm going to go and select that little face on there. Again, what I said earlier about placing that hole, because I'm just doing the one, I'm actually going to make sure, even if we go and change the hole size, it's going to go and snap to the center of that line. So if I now go into the hole, let's do the same again, and we'll go and just turn that into a standard drill size. And let's just do I'm going to go slightly smaller this time, 1.75. Click OK. Snap to there, close our sketch. And then make sure that our extent step is through all or through next. And we'll go down and finish that hole on there. Okay, next we've got to pattern this hole. So if we choose our pattern along curve, choose our feature, right click to accept, choose our path. So if we're on single, make sure we change that to chain and pick this edge on the inside. And then we've got to choose our start point. So our start point is there. But what I want to do when I use this project, I want to say actually my start point needs to be as close to this as possible. So what this is going to do, that's going to project the start point onto that curve for us. We can then accept on there. Depending on what setting we've got on here as standard, we can go and choose different options. So we can fill it and say, well, I want one every 25mm. That's going to go and put on every 25mm. But obviously the last one is then 7-8mm or something. So I find the fit one is quite a nice one. So I want 25 of those around there. That's going to go and put 25. Obviously apart from there on there. So for this one, let's go 40 on here. It's going to go and put 40 holes. Then we choose next. We're following the curve position. We don't want to suppress anything. And we want to do it as a fast pattern rather than a smart pattern, which means it will use less resources to recalculate that if we ever need to. And then we can finish that. Okay, so there we go, looking pretty good. Hopefully you've learned something. If you have any questions, please leave a comment and I'll try and get back to you when I can. Thank you.